It was night time, and only one street light flickered in the dark alleyway. A man stood there with a smirk on his face. He coldly said to the gathered people in front of him, "Are you all here to seek death?" The crowd in front of him exuded a chilling aura, befitting of assassins. The leader calmly said to the man, "The ace of the assassins group, today this title will also disappear after your death." After saying that, the assassins started shooting on the mysterious man, who easily kept dodging the bullets. In another part of the universe, it was night time. Inside a luxurious room, a woman stood chanting a spell. She finally completed the spell and shouted, "In my name, summon an otherworldly spirit who would be my servant." After a while, something miraculous occurred. In the empty room was a huge flash, and when the light subsided, a man seemed to have appeared. The moment he opened his eyes, he was shocked, as the surroundings seemed too foreign to him. He still remembered fighting with a group of assassins. What happened to them, and where was he exactly? These kind of miscellaneous questions clouded his head. At this moment, the man thought of something unprecedented. Maybe he had transmigrated to a different world. This man's name was Tian. At this moment, the woman came towards the man and examined him. She frowned a bit after seeing that he was just a normal guy without any powers. Seeing her so close, Tian was mesmerized, because he had never seen such a beautiful and graceful woman before. The woman sighed and said, "Never mind, this isn't bad either. Saves me some trouble." Tian came out of his thoughts and asked, "Who are you, and where am I?" The woman exuded a majestic aura as she introduced herself. "I am the Empress of the Flame Dynasty, and from this day onward, you will be this dynasty's Empress consort. In short, you would be my husband." Tian was astonished and confused after hearing all that. Not only was transmigration a big shock to him, but instantly becoming the Empress's husband gave him another blow. The Empress, seeing the confused expression of Tian, explained him, "I am the Empress of the Flame Dynasty, but my power is not stable in the first place. Additionally, my subjects are suggesting that I should get married. I don't wish to be threatened by them." The Empress' voice became a bit remorseful as she said, "Summoning you here to shield me from their protests was purely accidental, as I was searching for someone strong." But before the Empress could complete her sentence, Tian's cheerful voice resounded, "Is it true that I don't have to do anything besides being your shield?" The Empress was a bit taken aback by his carefree attitude and nodded. Tian immediately sat on the opulent bed and asked her to also sit. The Empress, seeing this, sighed and said, "I am sorry, but I can't fulfill the responsibilities of being your wife. But I can promise you a carefree life, with no worries and plenty of luxuries. And I will also think of a way to deal with the ring of the contract and the summoning spell for you." After saying that, the Empress left the room along with her servants. Tian sighed seeing this and said, "She sure is a dominant woman." He then focused on the blue band on his arm and thought, "So this is the ring of contract." At this moment he could see some text in front of him, "Contract ring, a special item owned by whoever is summoned by the summoning spell. The wearer cannot inflict any harm towards the summoner." Followed by this message, another blue screen appeared with a sound, "Would you like to activate the strongest supreme system, yes or no?" Tian was happy seeing this, as not only did he receive a ring, which could help him travel different worlds, but also a system to help him become the strongest. Tian, after a bit of pondering, clicked on the no button. He reminisced his past. He was an orphan, adopted by the strongest assassins group from a young age, and to survive, he had to keep getting stronger. He had to keep killing meaninglessly, just to fulfill his mission, and when he finally came to his senses, he became the most dangerous entity on the planet. But as fate had given him another chance, he won't throw it away. So he rejected the system. Now that he had money and everything, it was better to live a carefree life of a prince. After a while, Tian was relaxing while drinking a cup of tea. At this moment, once again the blue screen appeared. It said, "The host chooses to give up the system, trying to obliterate the host's memory, ready to escape and find new goals." Tian looked at the message and was confused. Several notifications kept on appearing. Erase failed. The system failed to escape. Attempt to bind with the host. Binding failed. Adjust the permissions and carry out the master binding. Confession failed. All of a sudden, red warning messages started appearing. Warning. Warning. The opponent is a super high-dimensional Earth creature. Adjust permissions. Enable slave parasite mode. Failed to open. Trying again. The system kept on trying to bind with the host's body and making its puppet, but each time it tried it failed. Tian was still confused seeing so many prompts, but he understood one thing, that this system was trying to make him its slave, after he rejected the offer to bind with it. The prompts continued to pile up, and finally, after the 9,999th attempt, the system gave up. Finally, it showed another prompt: respectable host, can I be your auxiliary system? Authorized to the master-slave mode. Tian understood something, that if this system was trying so hard to bind with him, then it could only mean that it was too necessary for it. Now that the system offered him a contract where it would be a slave, and he would be the master. Now this was a win-win situation for Tian, as he had become the master of the system, but if he were to reject this, then the system won't stop trying, and might do something to his body. So Tian, while smiling, said, "If you want to be my dog, then you are welcome, system." After saying that, he clicked on the yes button. The system then showed another prompt: please grant me a name. Tian smiled and said, "I'll call you Wang Ke." The system became happy as it showed some other prompts which read, "That is a very nice name. I like it, master." Another prompt said, "Dear master, this subordinate reminds you, please learn to restrain your breath as soon as possible, otherwise it would have some dire consequences. If you can't control your breath, you may inadvertently erase my existence and also endanger other lives. For example, please look to your right." As Tian turned his head towards the right, he saw a small tree slowly disappearing. He was surprised to see that this was caused by his breath. Tian closed his eyes and slowly suppressed his breath, which was leaking out. Breath here represents internal energy, which Tian was exuding a lot. He then said, "I somehow feel that I have become stronger." He then called out the system. "Wang Qi, what is my current strength according to this world? Am I strong or weak?" The system then replied through various prompts, "Dear master, you come from a super high-dimensional plane called Earth. The rules of heaven are strict. You are always under the oppression of rules. According to the investigation of this subordinate, you have been under the suppression of 490,000 pressure in the ultra-high dimension for a long time. Now that you came to this low-dimensional plane, there are not much pressure to suppress your power. Your body is eagerly absorbing the power between heaven and earth to strengthen itself. Your strength couldn't be suppressed by this world. It is the same as in your previous world." Tian then asked calmly, while sipping the tea, "The regular pressure of Earth was 490,000, so what is the regular pressure of this world?" The system gave a very shocking answer. "The pressure of this world is 3,000, master." Tian spit out all of the tea in his mouth after hearing that, but that spit out tea flew at such pressure that it bore a huge hole in the wall. Tian was shocked and suddenly asked, "Wang Qi, show me my current status." The system showed him his current status. It then said, "Dear master, you are a super high-dimensional creature. I have limited ability to detect you. The status I showed you earlier was just a tiny part of your true abilities." Tian looked at his status and pondered for a moment. After a while, Tian entered the martial arts arena. This was a place for practicing martial arts. The arena was empty. Tian went up and picked up a sword, but as soon as he touched the blade, the sword broke in two. Tian frowned and said, "The Empress is not strict with her subject. Otherwise, how a blacksmith scam her with such a low-quality weapon?" The system responded, "Dear master, there are 9 grades of spiritual weapons, and each grade is divided into 4 grades: lower, middle, upper, and extreme. This is the 6th grade ultimate spiritual weapon. In the Flame Dynasty, its quality is said to be superior." Tian then thought for some time and tried picking up another sword. But this time it didn't break like the one earlier. He then lightly swung it on his palm, but he was disappointed to see that the sword didn't penetrate his skin. Instead, cracks started appearing on its blade. He threw the sword back in its sheath and left. As he was walking, he thought, I have already roughly understood that my strength is enough to survive in this world. As for the weapons, I won't pick any, as I don't want to live the life of a killer again. A day passed. Next morning, when Tian slowly opened his eyes, he was surprised to see a woman sleeping near him. But when he saw who she was, he became shocked and immediately woke up. She was none other than the beautiful Empress. As Tian looked at the peerless beauty's face, who was still half asleep, he touched her face and asked, "You said you wouldn't be with me." The moment Tian touched her, she completely woke up and moved back a bit. She felt a bit embarrassed but still spoke in a calm manner. "How was your sleep yesterday?" Tian felt a bit awkward and replied that he slept well, but then he asked, "Did I sleep in the wrong place?" The Empress sighed and said, "I slept here yesterday to shut people's mouths. In the future I will come here from time to time." As the Empress got up and was leaving, she also said, "Make sure to take care of yourself, and if there is something you need, just ask." She then turned around and said, "I summoned you here for my own benefit. Once again, sorry." After saying that, she left. Tian happily fell on the bed and mumbled, as expected of the Empress, "The way she talks, the way she walks, it is all majestic. She really is extraordinary." Time passed. It was night time. Inside the royal study room, the Empress with a frown asked, "Is the situation in the north already this bad?" A woman in black dress stood in front of the Empress, who answered with reverence, "The barbarians are making frequent movements, and I was afraid that someone was manipulating them behind the scenes. According to the intelligence, the barbarian Holy Master left the royal court." This woman was the general of the Flame Dynasty, General Zhang Lishuan. The Empress frowned upon hearing that. She got up from the desk in a hurry and said, "I want to personally conquer the land and cut off the hand that this old Holy Master stretched out. 3 days from now, General Zhang, you will follow me to the north." The woman in black became extremely happy and replied, "Yes, Your Majesty." 3 days later, the Empress wore a majestic battle armor that made her look charming yet lethal. Behind her were thousands of cavalry and her most trusted, General Zhang. The Empress asked, "Are the arrangements in place?" The general answered, "Yes, Linger had followed him secretly, so nothing would happen." The general continued, "Your Majesty, you have taken great care of this prince. Even I don't know what made you choose him. A big man like him must not be totally useless, so why bother so much?" The Empress smiled and said, "After I got married with him, the luck of the great Flame Dynasty became more stable. Even my strength has improved. Also, isn't he my husband? So taking care of him is what a wife must do." She then looked towards the north direction, and her smiling face instantly became cold. She shouted to the troops, "Okay, let's go." As the army marched towards the north, someone was observing all this from the top of a tree. She was none other than the daughter of General Zhang, Zhao Linger. She sighed and mumbled, "Mother, why didn't you take me with you to the north, and instead left me here to secretly protect this trash prince?" Zhao Linger looked at the prince with dissatisfaction. She was someone who liked and idealized strong people, but this prince was weak and only idled away, and spent all his time in eating and traveling. She secretly took a peek on him from behind the tree and thought, Her Majesty is out there fighting for the country, but this trash prince just ran to the mountains for his appetite, and even didn't come to see her off. She sighed and muttered, "I really don't understand how Her Majesty married such a guy." At this moment, Linger felt something and turned her head, only to find out the guards shouting, the prince was taken away. Linger's face instantly became cold. Even though she didn't like the prince, she still had the responsibility to save him. But she was worried whether the prince would have already fainted by fear. On the other side, As the kidnappers were dragging away Tian, he was smiling while chewing the meat. He praised, "The taste is really good, but it's a pity that you can't taste it, Wang Kai." The system responded, "It's a pity, master." After reaching the location where the remaining kidnappers were, Tian ordered them, "Bring me some rice, as this meat tastes well with it." The leader of the kidnappers was a guy with a half-face mask and a big scar across his face. He asked with a frown, "Fourth brother, are you sure you didn't catch the wrong guy? Is the queen's husband really such a fool?" Linger followed the kidnapper's trace and finally found Tian. But seeing him being so carefree made her very angry. As she observed the people who kidnapped the prince, she immediately recognized them as they were from the Zunu branch building. She then thought, while they are distracted, it was best to take the prince and leave. She immediately jumped from the tree and, using a fast martial arts technique, appeared in front of Tian, taking him by surprise. She reached out her hand towards the prince and told him to grab it. But the moment her leg touched the ground, she immediately realized that she had been tricked, as the ground was already a trap called Spirit Chain Cage. Seeing that, Linger scoffed bitterly, "A six-order blocking formation. You really think highly of me." At this moment, the man with the mask came out and smiled. He said, "Of course, we think highly of you, the proud daughter of heaven, who stepped into the Fifth Order, the space-breaking realm at the age of 16. So this much respect must be given." Tian, who was enjoying his meal, asked the system, "Wang Shi, what is it about breaking space realm? Explain it to me." The system then said, "In this world, cultivation is divided into 10 levels of practice. First being the weakest and 10th being the strongest. Also, each level is further divided into 9 levels." At this moment, the atmosphere changed, as Linger put on a battle stance. But the leader of the kidnappers laughed and said, "Don't waste your time. It is a special method to get rid of that sword technique of yours." Linger immediately became shocked and asked, "Who are you? How do you know?" Hearing that, the man removed his mask and asked, "How do you say I know?" After a while, inside a cave, Linger was tied with chains, and the kidnappers were laughing. Linger shouted, "Lan Hunting, you are still not dead." But at this time, Tian finally finished that large piece of meat and slowly got up. He said, "Since everyone knows each other, let me leave first." As he was about to walk out, the leader grabbed him in anger and said, "I haven't done my business yet, my little white mouse." Tian replied with an okay and stopped. The leader smiled and said, "As expected of that woman's husband, he is a little bit courageous." He then took out a small pouch and showed him. He said, "You just need to put this into water and splash it on the Empress's martial arts arena. Doing this simple thing can not only save your life but also—" The leader couldn't complete his sentence, as Tian took the pouch and immediately said, "No problem." The leader was confused for a moment. He was at a loss of words, seeing the man cooperating with him without any resistance. He then took out a vial and said, "You have to do a verbal promise, and for that you—" Once again, before he could complete his sentence, Tian snatched the vial from his hands and drank it completely. He then once again asked, "Can I go now? I am worried that if the delay is too long, those female Imperial guards will become suspicious, which will not help you in any way." The leader was at a loss of words, as he was still shocked by the prince's behavior. Then the prince once again asked, "What should I do next? Hurry and tell me." Tian thought, "I have cooperated so much with these guys, but why don't they still let me go to palace and eat barbecue, drink a little wine, and be a happy little prince?" At this moment, Linger shouted in anger, "Shameless! Her Majesty was blind, that she chose you, a spineless man, as her husband." The leader grinned evilly and replied to Linger, "You are the idiot. Prince is a man who knows the current affairs, and he knows which side to choose, so he is a true hero." The leader then continued, "You think that everyone, like you and your mother, would remain loyal to the Empress, and would turn a blind eye to the situation of the Flame Dynasty." Linger, with a sad look, murmured, "It is true that after the previous emperor's passing, the situation had become a bit chaotic, and even the Blood Cloud Tower At this moment Tian spoke up. You have already explained me what to do, and I have already taken the poison. If I don't complete the work I would die. Now that everything is done, can I take her away? Hearing that, Linger shouted with anger, don't be a hypocrite. I don't need your help. The leader smirked and said, well, that would be a little difficult. I have a little grudge against this girl, and I want to settle it in my way. Tian immediately objected, that's not okay, she came out with me. Also, if I go to the palace, without her, suspicions might arise. If they found out something later, then I would be dead. So, if she won't come with me, then I will die anyway. I might as well die here. The leader smiled and said, oh, really, then you just wait here and die from the poison. Tian said in a flustered way, wait, let's all calm down, don't be petty, think about me carefully, and think about the plan. At this moment one of the other kidnappers spoke in anger, just shut up, the boss was giving you face, by not breaking your limbs, and you keep blabbering. Don't speak another word. After hearing that, as Tian was once again going to speak, the other kidnapper couldn't control himself and charged towards him. He then grabbed Tian by his hair. Linger shouted Tian's name to alert him. Linger thought, this prince is just an ordinary person, without cultivation. Could he handle the power behind the attack? But suddenly everyone in the room was shocked, seeing the demeanor of the prince. As he was yawning, he was so completely relaxed that everyone were at a loss of words. But at this moment a chilling aura engulfed the room. The smile on Tian's face vanished. His eyes became as cold as frost. He said in a cold voice, move your hands now. The other kidnappers could feel the threat behind those words as they stepped back in fear. But the one holding the hair didn't back down. Tian spoke, I hate when people touch my hair. He lightly punched towards the man holding his hair, and the power behind the punch was so fierce that the man was evaporated from existence. Seeing this, all the other kidnappers were stupefied, because that man was on the 5th level of cultivation, and he just evaporated like that. But as the clouds of dust cleared, they could see something even more incredulous. The power of the punch didn't just stop after evaporating the man. Instead, it caused a massive hole in the cave as well as shattered one side of a mountain and still caused destruction further away. Tian once again raised his hand and caused a fierce current, which made the other kidnappers disappear, leaving only the leader. The leader fell down from the shockwave, his heart was gripped in fear. And when he saw Tian approaching, he couldn't move. It was as if a grim reaper was here to reap his pathetic life. Tian then spoke coldly, I just wanted to live the life of an idle prince. Why did you have to disturb it? Did I not cooperate? Then why did you force me to do what I vowed to forget? Do you want me to become the monster, which I hate so much? If that beast got out, then you, your family, your sect, your master, everyone would disappear. Tears flowed from the leader's eyes as primal fear gripped his soul. It was even difficult to breathe under that pressure. But he still, with every ounce of his energy, kowtowed fiercely and apologized. But Tian was a ruthless man, and he never let go of his enemy, as they might come back and bite him. The leader watched unwillingly as his body slowly broke down into fragments and disappeared. Tian watched all this with emotionless eyes. It were the eyes of someone filled with cruelty. He then looked at woman Linger. Seeing those eyes, Linger trembled and sudden words came out of her mouth, Prince, please spare my life, I know that I was wrong. Please spare me. As Tian moved towards her, she closed her eyes, but at this moment she felt her arms lighten, and when she opened her eyes, the chains binding her had disappeared. She looked at the godly figure in front of her and thought, the spirit chain cage array was actually crushed by the prince with his bare hands. Tian then asked her, are you a fool? Why would I kill you? By the way, you stay here and wait, I'll come back soon. After saying that, Tian disappeared. Linger, who was still not used to this side of the prince, sighed. After a minute, she saw that one mountain was jumping from one place to another. She awkwardly laughed and muttered, fortunately it was not the prince who came but a mountain jumping over and over. Only at this moment did she realize what she said. She was so shocked that her eyes opened wide, seeing the jumping mountain. But as the mountain got closer, she could see someone below the mountain. It was Prince Tian. He was carrying the mountain with one hand and coming towards her. Linger nearly fainted, and just one question came in her mind: Prince, what kind of monster are you? That's all for this video. Here is a small activity for you. Describe the personality of the main character in one sentence. Answer in the comments. Also, if you think these kind of stories intrigue you, make sure to subscribe this channel.